Several of us had questions on problem number 19 from the Unit 5 homework. So this video should help you be able to answer this problem. So Mark made 3 cakes for a party. Each cake is cut into 12 pieces. We're using the image below to answer the following questions. So there's 5 questions here. There are 5 different variations of servings. I just want to focus on the 4th one. And after we go through the 4th one, that should help you be able to answer all 5. So if Mark makes each serving 5/12 of a cake, how many servings can be made from the 3 cakes? So we'll look at this 2 ways. The first way we'll do it is very visual, and then the second way we will do it using division of fractions. So let's take a look at 1 serving. We know that 1 serving is 5/12 of a cake. So each cake is split up into 12 equal slices or 12 equal pieces. So 5 of those pieces would be equivalent to 1 serving. So I'm going to kind of shade that in, and that represents 1 serving. Now, let's look at a second serving. I'm going to shade it in using a different color. So I've shaded in a second set of 5 pieces of cake, which represents the second serving. So right now I'm showing 2 servings of cake. So before we get too far into this, let's start making a list of all the servings we have. So far we have 2 servings. So under number of servings, I'm going to make 2 tally marks, one for blue, one for the pink one I just drew. All right, let's see how many more servings we can get out of this. So each serving, remember, is 5 pieces of cake. So I have 2 more pieces of cake in the first cake, and then I'm going to move over to the second cake and grab 3 more pieces. That will make a 3rd serving. So I'm going to add another tally mark. There's 5 more pieces of cake, so that's our 4th serving. Now I can see I've made a 5th serving, but I had to go over to the 3rd cake to get that extra piece. So there's serving number 5. Let's count out 5 more pieces of cake. There is a 6th serving. And let's count out 5 more pieces of cake. There is my 7th serving. So far I have 7 complete servings because each serving is 5/12 of the cake, which would be 5 pieces. So I have 7 copies of 5 pieces of cake, or 7 sets of 5 pieces of cake. So far I have 7 servings. But I have 1 slice left over. So let's write down what we have so far. So far we have 7 servings of cake, but I still have that extra slice. So I have 7 servings plus a little bit more. So I have to figure out how to identify that little bit more. And so there it is. I've drawn an arrow to it. So I have that 1 piece of cake. Now, this is where you have to really think about what your unit is in this case. When I say your unit, I mean what's your whole? Well, we might jump to think that the whole is 1 whole cake, but actually we're talking in terms of servings here. So our whole is 1 serving, which is actually 5 slices of cake. So this little slice that's left over, I need to figure out what portion of a serving that is, not what portion of the whole cake that is. So we might look at that and think that's 1/12 of the cake, and that is true. But since we're talking in terms of servings, we need to think of that slice as 1/5 of a serving of cake. So since a serving of cake was 5 slices put together, and I have 1 slice left over, I have 1/5 of a serving, not 1/12 of the cake. I have 1/5 of a serving. That's how I want to think about it. So I have 7 full servings plus 1/5 of a serving of cake. So I could say the answer is 7 1/5. That's the very visual way to look at it. Now let's look at it using fraction division. So basically the question I want to ask myself is how many copies of 5/12 of the cake are in 3 whole cakes? So how many copies of 5/12 are in 3? That turns me into the division problem 3 divided by 5/12. So I'm going to rewrite that as 3/1 divided by 5/12. And then we learned the algorithm that when you divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So this becomes 3 over 1 times 12 fifths. If I multiply straight across, I get 36 over 5. And when I turn that into a mixed number, 5 goes into 36 7 times equally with 1 left over. And remember, that 1 would be that 1 extra piece of cake. And the reason why it's 1/5 is because it's 1 piece of cake out of 5 pieces of cake for the total serving. So 7 and 1/5 would be my final answer.